Hey guys,
Hey,
welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week, starting a few minutes late, first week without Tim, who has been here with us for a while, and all of a sudden, phone started going off. Oh shit, we gotta get going. Anyway,
We got into the note taking a little bit too much.
yeah. A game of names.
Lots
Cue
of
the
good
music.
stuff. So, first off, and we said you were probably right last week, but congratulations.
Yeah.
Probably the theory I had the least faith in of yours turned out to be the one that was... I think I had even, at least at the beginning, had even less faith in this theory than your faith theory.
Wow. Fair enough.
Of course, part of that was my own prejudice for having a opposing theory.
True.
And to be fair, when you started it, there wasn't any real solid evidence for it. It was just an idea that
True.
would be a cool thing
True.
in your head.
And the major piece of evidence that I had for my theory was it's one of the 6 options in Volos
Yeah.
for the monstrous race. So, yeah. I agree. When I first announced the theory, it was tenuous, for sure. But, yeah.
And honestly, in my opinion, it didn't pick up a lot of steam until the last 2 episodes. For me, anyway.
I was certain that I was correct. So, but yeah, we had a lot of things that we predicted very early on for Caleb and not
Yes.
come through on this episode.
One I had predicted had kind of left by the wayside when he explained his past to Not and Bo.
Yeah.
Although I think I'm picking it back up. I think I have more evidence for it after this episode.
Yeah.
Caleb's false name, which was part of my theory that he was a noble trying not to be seen, or part of not necessarily like noble background, but part of that, elite.
Yeah.
That 1%er. And his name, Bryn Aldrich Eminrude? Yeah, Eminrude.
Yeah.
Eminrude. So, we know that Zemnian is based on German. And there's a lot of things in that name. One, it doesn't sound like a commoner's name.
Sure.
2, let's look at what we know of Caleb in that name real quick. Bren is actually not the exact word, but a derivative of the word for flame. He's a fire mage.
Okay.
Aldrich is a name of rulers in German. It means wise ruler. It's
Okay.
a name for the ruling families that only the ruling families used. And Eminrude is one of immense power, which goes into him being tied to Dunamis. It literally means immense and power. And is the name of...
Flame ruler of power.
It is a name of an actual ruler of German Frank area of Europe in the past. So, however, a queen, not a king, but...
So do you think...
He may not be like upper level, but he's related to the upper, He may be a lower level, this small town that he's from.
So you heard Aldrich?
Mm-hmm.
I heard Podrick.
No, I heard Aldrich, and most of the internet heard Aldrich. And
Okay.
He confirmed Aldrich.
Okay. Well, then I guess it's just the title of the episode. Put Game of Thrones in my head.
Ha. Game of Names, Game of Thrones, whatever.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I'm going to say with confidence, and it will probably be talked about on Talks tonight.
Okay.
Is the drowning bit that Knot was telling him about was added after the bath episode and Zadash.
Yes. I had picked up on that too.
Which was 13 or 14 episodes?
I think
Something like that.
It was right around the 15 mark.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's 15 weeks, 13 to 15 weeks of play without that bit of detail in the backstory. Because even, like, Sam on our previous talks said that was just in the moment something funny he thought would be funny.
Right.
And then he worked backwards to figure out why.
Well, I don't think I think he probably didn't know her. He hadn't planned out her method of death. Because I think that's where you were wrong. I don't think it was a polymorph smell. I think it was a reincarnate.
I hadn't thought of that. And see, because I was thinking that her assumption that she died was just that, an assumption. A traumatic blockage on memory.
That could be. They could have done that, and then while she was out, done polymorph because she's unconscious. She wouldn't get the save.
Yeah. Now, doing the reincarnate fixes the potential get around of a dispel magic.
Exactly.
Because no one.
Okay, so go ahead.
No one's tried to cast dispel magic on Knot.
Correct.
For the polymorph. Or dispel magic for anything for that matter. But yes, true polymorph does state that if they are the target of a dispel magic and someone's trying to dispel polymorph, it will dispel it.
Right.
Or they get a roll.
Yeah.
If they don't cast it at the appropriate level.
Correct.
But reincarnate would get around that.
Yeah, because reincarnate doesn't use the old body. It creates a new body.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing.
Does that work into Matt's resurrection rules?
It could.
Because we've talked about the possibility that Yasha has died.
Yeah. Well, okay, here's the thing real quick. So, 1, it uses a new body. 2, this is the second time we've seen a hooded woman deal with the characters. Now, the last time was Molly. And the soul, I'm thinking, okay, here's my theory right now. My working theory. Lucian's soul had another body created for it. That body came back with no memories. So is Veth's body out there wandering around forming new memories?
That's funny, but no, I don't think so. And I think, well, I'm pretty certain that the wizard who was involved with Molly's death resurrection ritual is someone in the Solstice Academy.
I'm pretty convinced it's Astrid still.
Yeah.
And that's not discounting that it could be Astrid that did this to Veth.
So when I first proposed that Knot was polymorph, I said that it was probably somebody in Caleb's circle.
Yeah.
I don't think that now.
Okay.
And even last week when we were talking about this, I tiptoed around that.
Yeah.
Because as connected as they are finding themselves, I think that's a little too much. It's a little too convenient.
Unless Astrid and Trent are the big bads.
Yeah, well, and again, so I talked to Tim last week
Okay.
about a theory that I had about the proteges of Trent that were in Dunamis. We talked briefly about it on the show, and you sort of went where I went as well. But when I talked to him, I said, what if Trent is torturing all these people?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he got Caleb to do this so that Caleb would want to go back and change time. So that he would want to time travel.
Okay.
That he is doing these things to instill these desires in his proteges to do these things. Sort of like Reverse Flash.
Okay. Yeah.
Where Reverse Flash had to come back and actually help Barry become the Flash.
Right.
So that he could get home. Not that Trent is from the future or anything, but just that level of machinations working. So yeah, if Trent is that level,
mm-hmm.
then okay, yeah, he might still be involved in Knott's transformation in some way.
Right.
Because I could see him doing that to motivate her husband.
Okay. Do you think her husband knows that she's a goblin?
No. Well, she said as much. She said that he doesn't know.
So, what would him doing that to Veth?
No, I think he probably has. He's got him working on the beacon.
Oh, okay.
To bring her back.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And she wasn't signing her letters and packages until recently.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, I can see that.
And maybe that's when they got sloppy and set off that wave. Because up until about a month ago, there was no side effects happening from their experiments.
So, getting into the experiment... Well, before we get really into the experiments and that, and because there's something I want to touch in there that I touched on last week, and I think I got... And we kind of didn't see eye to eye on it, but I'll save that for a second. With Veth, one thing I wanted to mention is the polymorph or reincarnation, whichever it was part of the make her suffer. And not just putting her in that form.
Oh, yeah.
But we also learned that this is a degenerative thing. This is an ongoing thing. She's becoming more and more goblin, less and less Veth, the longer she stays in this form. She, a year and a half, she's forgotten her son's face. Her eating habits have changed. We've seen that.
Yeah.
Her obsession with collections has turned into kleptomania.
Well, and I think so. Yeah, and it's hard to say either way that goes, because with the polymorph, either one, because with polymorph you are that creature, so all the things that.
Well, with reincarnate, you are that creature.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's my question: how much of Veth will be left by the time they can change her back? Is this going to turn into an Old Yeller situation where one of them might have to put her down because she's just too far gone?
Based on what Sam said about the goblin and the tower, I think Sam has that as a possibility.
Yeah.
In the back of his mind. And the other question is, once they change her back, how much of Knot remains?
Yeah.
Because I think that...
Is it a gradual reverse where she gets the body and then she becomes less and less goblin-like over time?
Yeah. Or does she find herself still doing those
craving
goblin-like things?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think from a roleplay standpoint, I think that is more fun.
Yeah.
And I think that might be where Sam is really actually going, or wants to see not go. But yeah, I think either is possible.
Yeah. And now, we talked a little bit before the show, and I mentioned the fact that I didn't think I would do this, but I like Nod a little less now. And I like her a little less because, and even though we had batted around this theory, your theory, before this was confirmed, she was a noble character of a typically villainous race.
Yeah.
And now the only reason she's a noble character of a villainous race is because she was a quote-unquote heroic race transformed into this villainous race.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a trope where the good villainous race is because there's something else turned into that.
Like I said, it's a 1 in 6 chance on the tables in Volos.
Now,
they've never shied away from tropes either.
No, they haven't, and
virtually all of Vox Machina were tropes.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like, I'm not saying that I dislike Nod.
Yeah,
I still immensely enjoy the character. I love Sam's role playing, but it knocked her down a peg in my book. I do see room, especially like if things we're talking about now come into play. Or another thing is she was teased and bullied and only had 1, 2 if you count Luke, people that accepted her as a halfling. She has a whole group, a whole adopted family, plus all the, Shikasta and Callie. What if she ends up deciding, I'm okay with this being who I am, has the acceptance, and doesn't go back?
I'm not going to say it'll never happen.
I'm going to say it's not likely, but it would be an interesting take in just being accepting of the hand you're dealt.
A lot of things have to fall into play.
Yeah.
For that to happen.
But it would be a neat take on the accepting yourself with the hand you've been dealt in life.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to touch on was when she's talking about her collecting.
Mm-hmm.
She mentioned wax seals, and Bo was like, "What? Do you have any of them?" I think she misunderstood what Sam was getting at. Yeah. I think Sam talked with Matt and was like, "What's the equivalent of stamp collecting?"
Mm-hmm.
So I think the wax seals that she collected was the wax to peel off the envelope.
What do you think Bo thought they were?
The signet ring, like the actual seals.
Oh, okay. To make them.
Yes, because Bo's thinking mail fraud.
Yeah, well, that's. Speaking of Bo, and while we're going into this whole truth dump, so to speak, of the characters, probably to me the most touching moment, the one that got me in the feels, was when Caleb's giving his truth, and he pulls his looking through Frumpkin, even though there's no Frumpkin, and puts his hand on Bo's shoulder, even though they just had a huge fight, and she grabs his hand, and then at the end she goes, "You may not believe in anything, but please believe in us just a little bit." And that got me. And that, and the wax seal thing, and just all the little things, and the hiring of the Crown's Guard, and dealing, and her just social ineptitude dealing with the Crown's Guard. It's how I show affection. For me, Marisha and Bo were the MVP. So,
right on. Yeah, from those are good points. Laura again is my nominee.
yeah.
Just because, again, she's picking up on all the stuff
Yeah.
that we see, and actually voicing it at the table. Like, she had a moment where she's like, "What if they're attacking because we have this?" And Matt tried to sidestep that.
Yeah.
A little bit, which I don't know if that was fair or not. Because, like we said very early on, that the reason why they're at war is because the Crick didn't come back with the beacon.
Yeah. Yeah. We said that from the moment war was declared.
Yeah. So in a way, Jester's right.
Yeah.
They didn't attack Felderwin because they have the beacon.
No, but Felderwin had a beacon.
Yes. So it'll be interesting if that does actually come up.
Yes. So, okay, here's a question for you, and this goes back to what I was mentioning earlier, since we're talking about the attacks and the Crick. One thing in Jester's favor for the MVP real quick was, I really love that she was like, "Hey guys, can we not call them Crick? Can we?" And it just shows her nature of being accepting and not wanting to just blanket vilify anyone.
And she is also the only one who stuck with it.
Yeah.
Even when talking with the guards.
Yeah, which
like, even
could be bad. Calling them Kryn instead of Crick to the Crown's Guard could paint her as a sympathizer.
Yeah. But
or at least
the Mighty Nine kind of are, because they were talking about joining with them to attack.
At the very least, it could paint her as someone who opposes the war, so unpatriotic, oh, you don't support the troops kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when they dig through and they finally get to the thing, and they all enter, Matt says, "You guys, just long sealed up air. The river and stuff had been long sealed. Well, if they had just tunneled from there and just collapsed it, it wouldn't have been long sealed." Which feeds into my theory that I mentioned last week, that I'm still... It's not like I think this is real, but it's like, this is an interesting idea that there's evidence for. But that the Crick didn't actually attack. That there was something went wrong with the experiments, and the enchanter wizards brainwashed them, used the war as an excuse, brainwashed them, and made them think the Crick had attacked there. Because for Crown's Guard to be leaving and not refortifying a place that deep into the Empire from Xhorhas where there was an attack, and the cavern having been long sealed,
that supposes that the Wild Mother told Caduceus a lie.
Yeah, I guess.
Because the Wild Mother told Caduceus that he's on his way to Gordranas.
Well...
So the Empire is not going to fake an attack and send
true.
him to Gordranas.
That's true. So why are those things happening? I guess if the Cerberus Assembly knows that the beacon is why they're attacking, and that beacon is no longer there, there's no reason to expect the Crick back there.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And I think that's the truth.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not a strong theory. It's not even one I really believe in, but would be an interesting idea.
Yeah. No, I think...
And I'd forgotten about the Wild Mother actually saying that.
Yeah. So I think we have the woman in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
To step back real quick. You think it might have been Astrid?
I think it might have been.
I think there's a slim possibility.
But there's a 33% chance.
First thing that popped into my head was a hag.
Yeah. That was one of my other thoughts, was a hag or some kind of creature that could force a reincarnation.
Yeah.
You know, especially since we know this world was created in Pathfinder, and the witch class, one of the grand hexes, is a forced reincarnation where it doesn't have to be a willing target.
Mm.
So if that carried, you know, because he could still be using elements of that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Oh, a forced reincarnation. Well, there's grounds for it over here.
Yeah.
You know, for something homebrewed.
I can see that.
But then again, you've also got the fact that she was dead. If she didn't know who was bringing her back, per se, just the chance to be with Yeza and Luke again might have made her willing anyway.
Yeah. Again, if she actually did die.
If she actually did die, which is kind of
wishy-washy, I think.
Well, yeah. I think it's what happened,
and I don't.
I'm leaning towards it, but you know, it could very easily be either way for me.
I think the original story that Sam told Matt did not include a death. I think that was added at the bath, and Matt's gonna let not tell that story and believe that.
Okay. See, I took it as there was a death; it just wasn't specified that she was tortured and killed and brought back as a goblin. And then the specifics came after the bath.
Okay. Well, we might find out tonight.
We might.
So, with Caleb,
mm-hmm.
and that whole thing with him really leaning on Bo and everything, instead of getting into his backstory, he sidestepped with an admission of guilt.
Okay.
He didn't actually want to tell them anything. And I think Liam did it great.
Yeah.
Where he's gonna, instead of telling them, you know, I killed my parents, doing the whole thing, he's like, I'm using you.
Yeah.
And we had him go into Trent's experiments.
Mm-hmm. Why he always scratches his arms when he gets nervous.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole campaign.
Was he lying? Or is he misunderstanding what those experiments were for?
As far as what?
Being about dunamis.
Neither. So we know that he was at least a second level wizard of the evocation school prior to going into the insane asylum.
Yeah.
And he forgot a bunch of stuff. I think part of what he forgot was dunamis. So he honestly does not remember learning about dunamis from before.
I don't know that Trent was teaching him about dunamis. I think that's true.
Okay.
But, well...
That's why he said, I never knew it, because in his brain he never did. That's why, even if he didn't know the name dunamis, he's smart enough, he would have put, hey, what he was explaining to me and what this is talking about are the same thing. I think that...
Yeah. Well, then, and he also lied about what he was looking at when he found the dunamis.
That's true.
Which I thought was...
Because he's not comfortable with his endgame, sharing his endgame.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But I thought that was an interesting bit in that scene. I think the bit that got me the most was when Bo expressed you drowned, like you
Mhm.
died, and you spent 3 months underwater.
Yeah.
And Nott's like, well, maybe you guys are rubbing off on me. And then Bo later comes back and says, I think you're rubbing off on us.
Yeah.
Which, that's what got me.
Yeah, that was a big one too.
And I also loved Jester. Bad people don't care that they're bad.
Yeah, I don't think a bad person would care that they're bad.
Yeah.
And another thing that Bo did that kind of showed her sentimental side was giving the 20 gold. I don't care about the kid, but it's my friend's kid, so I care about my friend. And you doing something for my friend is worth 20 gold.
No.
No? Okay.
Marisha was talking about how Bo is a compulsive liar.
Mm-hmm.
That was a silencing bribe. And proof of that is that she went to him to find bribable friends to hire to guard her kid.
Okay, I can see that. Although for someone who's a compulsive liar, she went around using her name and her actual affiliation a hell of a lot.
Well, that's because she...
I'm Bo of the Cobalt Soul.
She kind of needed it, though. She's doing it because with the Plank King, she saw how powerful that could be.
Yeah.
That's why she's doing it. It's not... And, like, being in the Empire now, I don't think she feels she has to hide that aspect of herself. But, yeah. And I think Marisha has decided that Bo wants to stop being a compulsive liar, because she also admitted to Jester that she lied to her about...
Yeah, since we're doing this whole truth thing.
About her teacher. And we find out that Bo's hot for teacher. So...
Bo's hot for a lot of things.
That's true. True. Except marriage.
Except marriage, yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't go there.
Yeah.
But sure, marriage.
Yep. One of the things that I've really begun to enjoy, and I don't know if we would have gotten it if Molly had not died and we got Caduceus in the group, but how much clericing the clerics are doing. Because it seems that they're doing more of it now. Jester's always... The Traveler has almost always still been almost like an invisible friend for her. And she's changing the way that she talks about him. And she is doing a little more evangelizing. But also, she's taken... People give her shit for not wanting to heal, but she has definitely taken up the mantle of her friend's mental health.
Yeah.
And Caduceus is the same thing. And again, this goes back to what we were saying about the two clerics and Jester having a little bit of jealousy and competition in her.
Yeah. Where
now that cleric aspect, they're now sort of bouncing back and forth, and they're both sort of raising their cleric game.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed watching that.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things is Jester talks about sending messages for Caleb. Or Caduceus. She asked him, I could send a message to your family.
Yeah.
They have the same spell list. If he wanted to, he could do it too. Which I thought was a clever response from Taliesin when he's like, well, that's not the question I'm after.
Yeah.
I don't want an answer. If the Wild Mother wants me to know that, she'll tell me.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. And also a role-playing reason why Caduceus isn't just casting divination every day.
Yeah.
Other than the gold component cost. But it was interesting. That interplay. But I also liked the Jester, the speaker of the traveler, the messenger of the mighty nine. Yeah. And for someone who serves a deity that's all about traveling and everything, to have that be such an important spell for her.
Yeah.
Because I would argue that spell and Spirit Weapon are sort of her defining spells.
Yeah. I would agree. So on Jester, and real quick on the Clericine, another scene that got to me was it's talking about they're told kill a goblin on sight, run and get help. Caduceus is like, that's what you did. You ran and you got us. You got help.
Yes.
That was just awesome.
Yes. So good. Taliesin had a lot of good moments this episode too.
Yeah, he did. But with Jester, she asked two party members the same question, and they both had very interesting responses. She asked Bo, "Are you secretly in love with me?" And Bo says, "In a way, yeah." And then
she asked Caleb the same thing.
She asked Caleb, and he just kind of stares at her.
Oh, Jester. Yeah.
And I found that particularly interesting. Not necessarily because of the whole Caleb Jester ship thing on the internet. I don't think that.
I think that was, in the look back cuts that people are going to make, that's going to be one of those moments.
Possibly, if that happens. I think he loves her platonically. I think there's something about her that reminds him of Astrid. Because if you remember when they were dancing, his thoughts went back to Astrid, and he even said her name.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that was maybe how the romance between Caleb and Astrid started. She said, "Hey Caleb, are you secretly in love with me?" And that's why he got... Because he didn't get... He got one of those looks on Liam's face that he gets when something is said that triggers part of his backstory.
Yeah.
And he never responded. And I think he's got a platonic infatuation with Jester because she reminds him of Astrid. Of the good parts of Astrid. The happy parts that he remembers.
Yeah, I see that. So we also got a little bit of when Caleb says, "I don't believe in anything."
Mm-hmm.
And the walking the line sort of idea of the importance of controlling the cattle.
Well, he even says he still agrees with that.
No, he tried to walk it back. It was when they asked him specifically about that, he's like, "I don't believe in anything." But that was his cop-out answer. Yeah. Because he actually really does.
Yeah.
And I think the lies he told in this episode are going to come back to bite him.
Mm-hmm.
In a big way.
Oh, yeah.
And it may cost him the support of the Mighty Nine when it happens.
Yeah.
I also, one of the best, the biggest laugh line was when Ford was like, "How many historians do you know that are
that was
powerful?"
Do you know any dangerous historians? And Ford's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You're talking to one, Ford."
Yeah. It's so good. My question for you:
Okay.
why did they hold on so long to the idea that the Empire were the ones that had Yeza? Because it took 2 NPCs telling Bo this sickness. Well, it was a bit of a miscommunication, but to me, the scene where she was interrogating the doctor was basically like Matt had already given them the evidence that they uncovered sort of the secret behind the bad food.
Mm-hmm.
Like they already had it, and she was asking about it, and I think he just he gave her the one answer and went off, where she was trying to pick at it some more. But he had to have an NPC basically say that what I was screaming at my TV for like an hour.
Yeah.
The Crick have him, not the Empire.
Honestly, I think the players were caught up on your people did this to my
And they
people.
wanted to milk the drama in that.
And they wanted, party. Yeah.
I buy that.
I think the players. I think in the players' mind, this was going to be a crossover arc with Caleb and Not, because they've been so close the whole time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Here's my question for you.
Okay.
They put the tripod in the haversack. At that point, I assumed they had put the vial in there too. But later on, Caleb's I have
gave it to Caleb, and in this episode, he reiterated when they were entering that he had the vial.
So they intentionally put the tripod so it couldn't be scryed on. Locate object on the... How long is it going to take the Cerberus Assembly to hunt them down? If that is indeed... Because they're like, hey, Caleb's like, hey, we just took these things from these people and they just went to check on that stuff.
Is locate object a wizard spell? I don't think it is.
You don't think they have access to the...
I mean, they could get a cleric or a paladin.
Or a scroll.
But... Yeah. But again, are they going to...
Or even scrying. I'm going to scry on this object. Oh, there's that guy.
Yeah.
He looks familiar. So divination spells are a bitch, man.
He has the necklace. And I haven't read that item description.
I'm pretty sure Matt said it does not protect your items. Stuff. It protects you.
Okay.
They can't target you.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So.
So yeah, that's an interesting thing. But we've got more on Gordranus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially the evil Vasselheim.
Which is what I said back when I exposited my theory on the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And and I did my research on that.
Yeah. We also got a bit of foreshadowing on what they
could
expect.
So if you've been watching us, that was just confirmation.
Yeah. We're going to see more goblinoids, minotaurs, lizard folk.
Mm-hmm. 8th level, like you said last week, we're going to the Underdark.
Yeah.
Underdark in search of a halfling. It's what you do at 8th level. 2 campaigns have proven that, folks.
I'm sure it's a coincidence.
Is it? Or is this a callback to campaign 1, like the pirate captain?
Yeah. And the sailor with the tattoo.
Yeah.
So, we also had mentioned, Caleb asked if anyone had heard of what the Luxon is.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know if it was an item, if it was a person, if it was a place.
Right.
Didn't know. I have my theory. What's yours?
I know I've heard the Luxon before, and I'm not sure it's right, and I don't have my books with me here, and you don't have Mordenkainen's. But if I remember right, the Phoenix type entity was called the Luxon in the Elder Elementals.
Okay.
So, and I don't like. I'm like 60% sure that's right, but there's just enough that it's like I don't want to say yes, this is it, because I haven't looked at that since I did the initial thing on Ukatoa.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't really looked at those. I haven't
Yeah.
had a reason to look those up really.
Okay. Well, my theory isn't necessarily incompatible with yours, because I was thinking that might be the source of the endless night.
Okay.
So if that is the Phoenix, and it is the corrupted version, and it is dark, a dark Phoenix, if you will.
But we're gonna call it the Luxon so that Marvel doesn't sue us.
That could be the source of the endless night for Gordranus. One of the things Matt has been doing more and more at the end of an episode, giving peeks behind the GM screen. And I don't know if he does that for us or for the players or for both. And when I say us, I mean us, the audience, not he and I.
Yeah.
But because he says there were many possibilities, he said, and called this episode a hub episode.
Yes.
And I wanted to touch briefly on what you think the other possibilities were. Because,
well,
the players identified going to Rex and Trim, going back to where the gentleman is.
Nicodranus. No. Zadash.
Zadash, yes. Zadash. Blade Garden was my choice. Rather than Caduceus was able to figure out, okay, we can probably dig through here. And Matt played with Polymorph a little bit.
Yeah.
To allow Jester to do the Dire Badger.
Yeah.
But only let her dig 70 feet in an hour.
Yeah.
Pretty sure most burrow speeds are 20 feet per turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it was nice of him to basically let her make up a creature to turn into. And very fitting with the Traveler. Because Polymorph is a domain spell. Yeah. It's not on the Cleric list, it's a domain spell, so it is a gift from the Traveler.
Right.
So, yeah. That bit sort of... That was one of those bits that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. What? It's sort of...
Was it 70 feet?
Yeah.
I thought he got 100 feet in each time.
Well, the first one might have been like 100 feet. In all, it was less than 200 feet, but it was like 2 hours because it took her 2 spells. But still.
Well, it didn't take her the full hour the second time either. You said you're going before it ends because she dropped the form to look through the hole.
That's true. But still.
Yeah, but 100 feet an hour.
It really would have been 100 feet a minute.
Yeah.
Because that's what burrowing creatures do. They move through the earth quickly. Speaking of burrowing creatures, what do you think the worm was? Because my first instinct, the first thing that popped in my head was a purple worm.
Yeah, but I don't think so.
Those tend to be bigger than that.
Right.
The next thing that popped into my head was a bullet, but they're not worms.
Neolithid popped into my head, but I'm not sure. And they're related to mind flayers, but they are worm-like.
Grick popped into my head.
Yeah.
But the description that we got from the guard doesn't match that either.
Yeah, and neither did it match You know.
Yeah. Now, in my Araku campaign, I reskinned a bullet to be a worm.
Right.
To be a smaller sandworm. Araku's based on Warhammer 40k and Doom. So maybe he's done something like that here.
It wouldn't be the first time he's homebrewed something.
Yeah.
Or reskinned something.
But yeah, the other thing that sort of got me on that scene with the digging was Caduceus cast Bless, essentially as a guidance spell.
Yeah, and well, the other thing is, yeah, she did only roll like an 8 or a 10.
Yeah. So yeah, last few minutes.
Yeah.
Next episode. Will we see what they got at level 8?
Some of them. It'll depend how it plays out. But the last time they picked up, there was a couple. You know, it took 2 to 3 episodes to figure out what everyone picked up.
Okay.
Well, they used the paints to make a boat.
If they think of it, yes. And if Jester is willing to invest that amount of paint.
I think she'd be willing to invest enough to make a raft.
I can see that.
I was trying to think of how they were gonna make a boat.
I don't think they have to. I think Ford has a swim speed, and Nock can walk on water. It will change up who is scouting and where and everything, but I don't think they necessarily need a boat. And I also, Matt described that the worm dug through this.
Right.
If memory serves.
So
that the tunnel goes that way, not through the river.
Gotcha.
So the river could be a red herring. I think we're going to see cloakers.
Okay.
I think I have a feeling we're going to see cloakers in that room. But I think they are encamped somewhere for a reason. And I think it's because they are worried about whatever is nearby them finding them. Because when they got the message back from Yeza, he said, "It's dark and I have to be quiet."
Okay.
And the tone in Matt's voice was not, "I have to be quiet or they're going to beat me." It's, "I have to be quiet or I'm going to die."
Yeah. Yeah, I can see
that. The Drow don't need light. They have 120 feet dark vision. So, and like, if first thing in there, he's casting dancing lights and thinking about using the drift globe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not going to end well for you guys.
Yeah. He does drop it down to a single globule and puts the rag over it, like he has done.
So yeah, them having members of the party, and now it's basically just Caduceus that doesn't have dark vision.
Yeah,
because Caleb has his stone
that he can switch to that,
and Bo has her goggles.
Yep.
So
and the rest of them have actual dark vision.
Yeah. So it will be interesting. And dancing lights arguably is the safer of all of their light options. Because it's dim light and you can chain them to light up a huge area.
Yeah. As well as they don't have to be directly next to you to make you a target.
Yeah, that's the other big one. Yeah. So I'm hoping that we see Caleb use that a little bit. Does Ford take Inspiring Leader? This is something I thought of. Because of all of them, he has the highest charisma modifier, so he gets the biggest bang for his buck.
I think he does, but not yet.
Huh.
If he does now, it's strictly a mechanics choice, and they tend to do more roleplay choice.
See, I don't think so. I think it's roleplay. And I think...
Because of the time being a captain?
Yep.
Well, it does go in my favor of whether or not he wants to be a leader, if he takes it.
That's the other side of that, too. Like, for me, that's the most interesting one. I think more likely is going to be Warcaster.
Didn't he take Warcaster at 4th?
I don't think so.
I thought he did.
I don't remember now.
I'm pretty sure he took Warcaster at 4th, because he made the comment that someone said Warcaster, and he's like, oh yeah, that's great, and we were like, yeah, that's the obvious choice.
Yeah.
The interesting one, I was thinking for him, Shieldmaster.
Yeah, that was the other one. It was on my short list, yeah.
Especially now that he's got a shield. Because attack, knock him down.
Yeah. The only thing is that costs him an extra attack. Because Shieldmaster, the bash, uses your bonus action. And right now he only gets Thirsting Blade, I think requires you to use your bonus action, doesn't it?
No. Thirsting Blade is basically gives you extra attack.
Okay.
But it's with your packed weapon only.
Yeah. Okay.
Gives you extra attack, but you have to use your packed weapon.
I think Yasha, Great Weapon Master.
She either does Great Weapon Master or she does stat increases.
Yeah,
which will either be strength. It will either be 2 to con, which will give her hit points and AC, or 1 to strength, 1 to dex, because they're both odd. Still give her bonus to AC, and it'll bump her strength to 18.
That's a good point.
Those are the two choices I think she's going to be caught between.
For Bo, I kind of like Polearm Master. She still has her staff, and that combined with Sentinel
is wicked good.
Yeah. But we're out of time, and I gotta pick up my mouse.
And if they don't reveal it, we'll give our guesses on the others next week.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys.